They're talking about your Jesus.
We interrupt this broadcast to bring you a special news bulletin.
Joining me for headlines tonight are the Superman and Batman of atheism, Heath Enright and Eli Bosnick. Fellas, what is the least interesting competition we could watch you engage in for 2.5 hours that would have still been better than that stupid fucking movie?
I'd rather watch myself try to do a pull-up for 2.5 hours.
I think all of us would. That's actually pretty good.
So close, though.
Are you supposed to jump? Are you supposed to jump?
That counts. Flexed arm hang. I'm doing flexed arm hang.
2, 3.
30 seconds.
I'd rather have watched Hillary and Joe Biden play competitive Minecraft. Like, how do I make a sword?
All right, and sorry to the audience, scam habits die hard. Anyway, in our lead story tonight, almost everybody in Bangladesh did not get hacked to death with a machete last week.
Compliment sandwich.
That's right.
Good job.
Yeah, not hearing about that on the mainstream media, are you? Nobody's talking about the 156,599,997 Bangladeshis who didn't get brutally hacked to death by Islamic militants for thinking the wrong shit. Everybody wants to focus on them other three guys. I, on the other hand, have covered so many fucking stories of murderous machete-wielding zealots in Bangladesh that I've run out of shit to say about that, so I almost have to take a different angle.
Oh, I thought you were just reading from Salon.com, but sure.
Next year, the chief of police over there, he's going to be bragging about his numbers year to year.
Right.
2 heathens got killed with a sword today. That's how you earn a bonus. That's why I get the big money.
So the first of this week's victims was one Zulhaz Manan, a prominent gay rights activist and the editor of the nation's only LGBT magazine. The second was the guy unlucky enough to be with him when the 6 terrorists with machetes and guns forced their way into his apartment last Monday. Now, I want to just say for the record, 6 guys with God on their side still needed machetes and guns to take out a 40-year-old nearsighted gay magazine editor. I mean, you're making your God look like a pussy, guys. I'm just throwing it out there.
And also, it means there's a fucking waiting list to get onto a terrorist stabbing team in Bangladesh.
Apparently, yes.
And we're just fighting over playing time at this point. But I never stabbed a gay person before. Well, neither did Mahir. We're sticking with 6 people for this one. And Mahir's not even get to stab the guy. He's the driver.
And, of course, less than a week later, a Hindu tailor was also hacked to death in the streets, presumably also by Islamic militants. Nikhil Jorder was attacked outside his shop on Saturday afternoon, reportedly over a 2012 incident in which Jorder was arrested and released for allegedly making derogatory comments about Islam. And all of this, of course, took place only a few days after a university professor who was apparently a Muslim was hacked to death for not being Muslim enough.
Yeah. And again, does anybody go up to the cops in Bangladesh and say, hey, thanks. Those 3 days were really nice. No, they don't.
Those machete-less days, yeah. Now, Al-Qaeda offshoot Ansar al-Islam claimed responsibility for the first attack, and ISIS claimed responsibility for the latter. But at this point, it really doesn't matter which terrorist group carves the notch on its headboard. The point is that the government has sent the clear message that Muslims can kill whoever they want, so if anybody's leading in terror points, it's the national government.
Yeah, it's kind of like network marketing.
Yeah,
it's
exactly. This is a pyramid scheme of machete murder. Now, the good news, of course, though, is that now that they're killing religious people, something might be done about this.
Right. At least we can be comfortable in the knowledge that American Muslims will condemn this with almost the same vitriol and focus as they would a shooting over a parking spot.
Or a cartoon, yeah.
Okay, next up in Pix or It Didn't Happen news tonight. Some of you may have heard about the South African pastor Motsanoeng Mborbo. I'm not going to pronounce his name.
No, I think you got it right. I think you got it just right.
I did it consciously. Who claims to have ascended to heaven on Easter Sunday and taken pictures on his Galaxy S5, which is obviously ridiculous because nobody with a Galaxy phone could get into heaven.
Well, no, I mean, you can, but you have to scan the code on the phone when you get to the gate, and your phone always blacks out right before you get there, and then it's on the lock screen. Everybody's getting pissed off behind. It's a big pain in the ass, but you can get in.
But if you sign up for Verizon, if you get one of their 30-year mortgages, you can get the newest model for only $8,000.
It's true.
And they'll spread it out in payments for you.
Yeah, they'll call it free, too.
Anyway, Mboro, who looks like Don Cheadle's homeless dad, attempted to sell the privilege of viewing the pictures for about $340. However, it turns out that in South Africa, while describing Big Rock Candy Mountain is fine, trying to sell photos of it is illegal. So Mboro promised to post the pictures for free on his Facebook instead.
I see.
Great. So pictures of heaven are like prostitutes there. It's a good law. It's a good
Right,
law.
yeah, exactly.
Makes
Why
sense.
isn't
I get
that
it.
on a pillow? However, our story takes a turn for the tragic when he reported this week that someone stole the phone with the pictures on it from his car while it was being
no
washed.
way.
Every time.
In the mail.
It's true. Current suspects include the Canadian supermodel I lost my virginity to at camp last summer and Donald Trump's Muslim friends.
Also might have been a Yeti having a female orgasm. It's possible.
Now, I just want to say, I would kill my own mother to see the first couple, like, MS Paint attempts he made before he came up with a stolen phone story. He's, like, taking, like, stills of Krypton from 1978.
Is that the Care Bears cloud? I see a Care Bear.
I'm thinking cloudier. But the best part of the story for me is how hard he and his staff are doubling down on this. His bodyguard told the press, quote, "The pictures were really there. I saw them. We suspect one of the boys washing the prophet's car took the phone, but they all denied taking it even after we threatened them." End quote. He further went on to say, pinky swear. But all is not lost. I'd like to admit that we actually stole the phone and would now like to describe the photos of heaven that are 100% real for your listening enjoyment.
Of course we did. Yeah.
This first picture here seems to be an empty DMV.
And this one is the pastor holding his own bloody tooth with pliers. It's out in front of the Bellagio. I don't know.
And this third one here seems to be the person that I'm publicly debating accidentally suggesting that blackface performances shouldn't be summarily dismissed as racist without considering their individual merits. So, yeah, they are pictures of heaven. Who knew?
And in wishing welfare news tonight, over the last 15 years, the U.S. government's congressional prayer budget has added up to about $10 million. Actually, hold on. Let me start from the beginning. We have a congressional prayer budget.
Right.
It's a fucking thing we
Don't
have.
bury the lead here.
Despite being an industrialized nation in the 21st century, full of grown-up adults, we have tax revenue set aside for hiring professional wishing experts to start off the day for the House and Senate with a really good wish. Pay for this.
Reading this story was like finding out that the country's been spending about $1 million a year on dream catchers.
Right.
Please tell me some more about how we just can't afford to fix our roads.
Well, I mean, look, okay, so there's three ways you can look at this, because like $10 million over 15 years is 0.00014% of the federal budget. So if we're saying we value Jesus magic 0.00014% as much as real shit, it sounds good. It's still an overestimate, but it sounds good. But of course, if you call it 1,700 poor kids a year that aren't getting lunches, it sounds kind of bad. Now, of course, the third way is to point out that sums to about $666,666 a year. So clearly chaplains are Satan. Get them, Christians.
Well, the Freedom from Religion Foundation thought this might be infinitely too much money for us to be spending on the placebo effect.
Spoil sport.
So they had staff attorney Andrew Seidel look into the numbers. And it turns out that, yes, we're overpaying by approximately infinity percent for our prayers.
The math checks out, guys.
Yeah.
It does. So here's how we got there. The House and Senate chaplains each make about $175,000 a year.
Jesus.
And that doesn't even include their support staff of elves or whatever the fuck that would mean.
Right.
But using just the House chaplain from 2011 as an example, we got 104 prayers that year from this person, averaging about 90 seconds each, which means we paid him approximately $67,000 an hour
Oh, geez.
for prayers.
Wow.
Of course, you still have to factor in some extra time the chaplains spend outside of the prayer itself, like writing it or whatever, in which case it comes out to still infinity percent too much.
I thought it would have been at
does.
least double that. Yeah.
So yeah, next time your uncle posts that "you flip burgers and want $15 an hour" meme on Facebook, remind him we pay a guy $175,000 to talk to his invisible friend. That's
Yeah.
more than Big Bird got to talk to Snuffleupagus, I'm pretty sure. Also, question, did we get a refund when 9/11 happened?
Yeah, right. Give us a 67 grand back, man. That didn't work, that one.
That day was not good.
And by the way, if you're wondering how we arrived at a salary of $175,000 a year for chaplains, apparently it's all about matching their compensation with equally important government employees from other departments.
Like 3 teachers.
For example, the General Counsel for the Army and the CFO for NASA make the same amount of money.
Oh, you're fucking
That's
kidding
a
me.
real thing I just said. So it's not an exact science, but there's no denying that we continue reaping the rewards of a substantial Christian prayer gap over our enemies, and it's very hard to put a dollar value on that.
Yeah,
but it's something like running the entire space program. It's ballpark that.
Yeah, exactly.
And you have to wonder, what happens when those guys sit down to lunch? Like, Heath, humor me here for a second. You be space guy, I'll be the chaplain.
All right.
How's work going?
Honestly, rough. Been trying to figure out the budget for going into fucking space along with massive budget cuts at the same time. Because my job is, just to emphasize this again, figuring out how much it'll cost to launch human beings into the heavens on a flying bomb without killing them for the furtherment of human knowledge, exploration, and all of mankind. So yeah, it's a whole thing. It's been kind of rough.
Yeah,
honestly.
Tell me about it. Today, I was like, please help us all be good at laws. So like, I get it. You gonna finish your pudding?
I hate you.
And in option C, none of the above news tonight, taking the advice of presidential failure, recent Maury star and avatar of the god of crotchitch, Ted Cruz, the city of Oxford, Alabama, unanimously passed an ordinance despite the fact that none of them could spell either of those words with a gun to their head in response to Target's new gender-inclusive bathroom policy, banning anyone from using a bathroom that doesn't match the gender, leaving reasonable people everywhere to wonder, what's the most convenient way to carry around your birth certificate when you want to drop a deuce in a Wendy's bathroom?
And by the way, it's best to have a full frontal sonogram with you,
That
too.
helps,
That's important because people are forging the birth certificates at this point because they want to get into the Wendy's shit the place they want. So lots of places want 2 forms of gender identification at this point.
See. Well,
it's like
this
a
is
DMV.
and this is so fucked up because look, I've been there, and I promise you, I need to take a shit, and I don't think I'm going to make it to the old East Aboga exit. Is the only reason anyone has ever stopped in Oxford, Alabama. You guys are restricting your primary tourist draw.
It's true. It would be like Chicago banning hate crimes.
Right?
Council President Stephen Waits said the council sought the law, which carries a fine of $500 and up to 6 months in prison, quote, not out of concern for the 0.3% of the population who identify as transgender, but to protect our women and children, end quote.
Fuck
which
this guy.
is ironic because a cursory Google search demonstrates that he looks like Kevin from The Office glued pubes to his face in a goatee in the hopes they wouldn't remember him at the Chuck E. Cheese parking lot.
I just really like the pizza. Can I get takeout if somebody else picks it up for me? I'll be in the next parking lot. It's like 500 feet away.
This guy's fucking face fills out his head in the exact same proportions as Brain from Pinky and the Brain.
He looks like Nintendo Wii Fit is trying to make fun of me when I get it. It's like Simon Pegg fucked Nick Frost.
I'm sure he did.
That's what I look like.
It should be pointed out that while this particular bathroom bill isn't the first of its kind, he said, realizing he lived in one of the bad universes from a comic book. However, the severity of the punishment is. So after 2 weeks in a row of this shit, we realized that times like these call for a catchy theme tune. So with that in mind, we wrote this little ditty.
Whenever there's injustice across this mighty land, it's up to folks like you and me to stop and take a stand. If you're straining for freedom, let's try something new. We already tried option 1, now we gotta go number 2. Go take a public shit in Oxford, Alabama. Just go ahead and do it. Cover the streets in poo. Go take a public shit in Oxford, Alabama. 'Cause if you wanna shit on us, we'll shit on you. So visit a Chipotle and order extra guac. Then go Alabama. 'Cause if you wanna shit on us, we'll shit on you. Go take a public shit in Oxford, Alabama. Just go ahead and do it. Cover the streets in poo. Go take a public shit in Oxford, Alabama. 'Cause if you wanna shit on us, we'll shit on you. Go take a public shit in Oxford, Alabama. Just go ahead and do it. Cover the streets in poo. Go take a public shit in Oxford, Alabama. 'Cause if you wanna shit on us, we'll shit on you.
And a huge thanks to Anna Phyllis Smith and Morgan Clark for lending us their musical expertise this week. And by the way, if you'd like to purchase your very own copy of Go Take a Public Shit in Oxford, Alabama, you'll find it on CD Baby and linked on the show notes. It's only $1.25, and all the proceeds will go directly to Heartland Trans Wellness Group. It's a Midwestern organization that provides support and services to the transgender community. So while you come to grips with the fact that you're going to be singing to yourself about public defecation for the rest of the day, we'll take a quick break to do our public duty and hand things over to my lovely wife, Lucinda.
Public shit.
Cover the streets in poo.
Thank you, Lucinda. And in more is less news tonight, we're going to give you yet another solid reason to shit on the state of Alabama, or maybe a liquidy reason or a nuggety reason, whatever you got cooking. Because
It's like a soft shale formation.
Right.
Soft shale.
Because, of course, Roy Moore decided to speak on the record again, and if you're not already pre-pissed off, it's only because you haven't been listening long enough. So, just in case, quick reminder, Roy Moore is the Supreme Court Justice for the state of Alabama who has run out of office for ethics violations once for refusing to abide by a federal court order to remove a Ten Commandments monument, and then he was reelected to the position as now facing accusations of yet more ethics violations, surprise, this time for directing Alabama judges to ignore the SCOTUS ruling on gay marriage.
And for those of you who can recall the name and not the face, think Pat Robertson dipped half his face into Raja Ghul's Lazarus pits. He looks like he should be coaching a team against the Mighty Ducks.
Doesn't he?
Also, this is off topic, but I just want to point out that Eli usually writes notes phonetically in all caps with no punctuation or spaces, like a papyrus scroll. But Raz Al Ghul is perfect with the apostrophe and everything.
I want to point out that's because I fixed his spelling on that. And when I did it, I thought to myself, I should never have to correct the fucking spelling on Raz Al Ghul from Eli.
I believe I spelled it RASAGOOL. Exclamation point. Picture of a kitten.
Picture of an owl. Yeah,
Capicola.
exactly.
Is that right? No.
Well,
all right, but sorry, getting back to Roy Moore, who looks like Harvey Keitel got fucked by a Confederate flag. Go ahead.
Yeah. So luckily for us, and by us, of course, I mean straight people who don't live in Alabama and earn their living making fun of religious bigots that really deserve it, Moore decided to defend himself against the allegations that he did what he proudly admits that he did. So let me give you the play-by-play. He opened up with the gayness is probably a mental disorder gambit.
Always good to hear from a man whose imaginary friend tells him to break laws.
Right, and who listens, yeah. So here's the quote. In reference to a gay wedding, he said, "When I started in 2013, if that would have happened then, this person," he's referring to the gay, "would have been said to have a mental disorder," end quote. So 40 years off the mark there, jackass. Homosexuality was removed from the DSM in 1973, and it was long overdue then.
Now, Noah, I think you aren't being fair there. He said that it would have been said to have been a mental disorder, probably by Roy Moore.
Right,
so
yeah.
I think he was trying to communicate he's been a funereal shart for years.
Yeah, I see. Right.
That's like the worst thing. Also, what the fuck does the clinical definition even matter to his argument? In 2013, were they banning everyone with a mental disorder from getting married?
Right.
What the fuck does that even mean?
But of course, Moore wasn't done. After referring to a lesbian as a transvestite as though those were interchangeable terms, he went on to blame his current legal troubles on the Southern Poverty Law Center as well as, quote, atheists, homosexuals, and transgender individuals, end quote. So, for the record, the problem isn't that he mistook the Alabama judiciary for his very own autocratic fiefdom. It's those damn gay trans atheists at the SPLC that bitched about it.
It's these regressive left crusaders who can't even properly estimate how much worse it is for gay people in Saudi Arabia, expressed as a value on the pH scale with America as a 7. Can't even do it. doesn't understand log skids. These people are just making it worse. Get a math degree. God.
This is the rich white guy version of those episodes of Cops where they got some shirtless guy in a trucker hat whose dick is still very clearly stuck in his motorcycle being like, the owners here, they told me I could borrow some truck, but then the cops roll in, they didn't even ask me, Obama.
And finally tonight, we have a story about gay pedophiles, cannibalism, and Nazis that does not involve the Catholic Church. So, good job, Catholic Church, I guess.
Compliment
that
sandwich.
We started and ended.
Wasn't them this time. Instead, this one comes from Protestant hate pastor and guy who looks like Kevin Swanson with scurvy, Kevin Swanson, who made news recently when he warned American parents to remove their children from public schools because of all the gay sex instruction.
What?
During which he incorporated gay pedophiles, cannibalism, and Nazis somehow.
And really, a Halloween party is the only time it's appropriate to incorporate pedophiles, cannibals, and Nazis. Or like an awesome movie.
Like a campus party at Yale, that kind of thing. So this rant came during a recent episode of Swanson's radio show, and he made lots of salient points against butt sex ed in public schools. So apologize if I'm oversimplifying his argument a little bit, but here's a few highlights from George Jetson with cholera. Quote, please do not send your children to the NAMBLA pedophilia preschool or the transgender kindergarten. What? So I'm going to pause right there and get this clock ready with 30 seconds on it. Any thoughts so far? NAMBLA preschool? Pro, anti?
Best behaved group of preschoolers ever?
So a couple more key moments, continuing with his rant here. And in addition to gay pedophile schools, by the way, Swanson also touched on bathroom laws and, of course, gay cannibals.
It's about damn time somebody said it.
Right. So, for example, he hate spoke the following. Quote, woe to the man that transgenders the restrooms in the public schools. Yep, as a verb. And apparently he considers himself to be cisgendering a room when he shits in it. Anyway, continuing, and this is my favorite part. He closes it out. I know homosexuals love each other, and cannibals love their victims. They taste good. And the Nazis love their children. But that's not love. That's not love. End quote.
Following the great tradition of reasonable, sensitive public figures who start their sentences with woe to the man that whatever.
Right, exactly. Now, I'm sure Mr. Swanson would tell you this is all based on his sincerely held Christian belief that gay people are gross. And pedophile, cannibal Nazis, apparently. But I've got to wonder if this has anything to do with his gambling problems. Because, as I understand it, if one of his 5 children ends up having a same-sex marriage, Swanson has to sit in a pile of shit and smear it on his face while the guests arrive.
Yes,
That's a bet. That's on record.
It's true.
So, yeah, this feels kind of like a Pete Rose situation. Like, he's definitely trying to win the bet, but still questionable, you know?
Well, now it's my life goal to seduce one of Kevin Swanson's children. I mean, Thanksgivings will be rough, but I'll take one for the team.
Right. Okay, so we've already got those 30 seconds on the clock, I believe. So we're looking for gay pedophile cannibal cinema for movie day at the gay pedophile cannibal elementary schools. Go.
Of course we are. How about Fear and Moaning in Anthropo Vegas? Like 9 people who are word geeks love that shit.
What about Little Man Taint? Tossing the Soylent Green Salad.
Ooh, I like it. Milk Dud. There's nothing in the rule book that says a dog can't eat Dave's balls.
Not quite cannibalistic at that point, but it's still good. It's still good. How about Growing Up Donner?
What about Kindergarten Cock? Eat a dick, spray love.
Ooh, I like Dahmer the Explorer.
Oh, there you go. There you go. It's at least as close to rhyming as Dora is. How about Sweeney Toddler? The Seaman Gargler of Sesame Street.
Ooh.
I want to write those songs now.
What about Quiet Time of the Lambs? If I were 5, I'd eat me.
2-Man Scent of Meat? Two-man
I like
symphony.
it.
Human
Yeah,
symphony.
no. It's the pronunciation, it really comes out.
yeah.
And now that we've got your atheist tummy sufficiently rumbling, we can close out the headlines for the night. Heath, Eli, thanks at varying levels of always.
Magic the Gathering.
And when we come back, we'll learn that either Islam is the religion of peace or Surah 9 exists.
Eli plays that game too.
It's one or the other, guys. Can't be both.
It got hard when there were white cards, so I was like...
Check your privilege.